Welcome to another tutorial ProfLearn YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to have a discussion on questions that you expect to do in quadratics. Quadratic functions is one of the topics that will be tested in Unit 1 Pure Math, Unit 1, and we want to see, is there a relationship? By the end of the lesson, you'll be able to tell, is there a relationship between the quadratic functions and equations that you did in O level and what you are going to do in year 12. In question 1, we are told to solve, and here we are given a function f of x equals to x squared into 2x plus 1 minus 15. And then you are expected to set that function to be equal to 0 as shown there. So we are supposed to find what is the value of x, and to do that you're going to earn exactly 4 marks. Now we are going to start by saying this can be written as 2x squared into 2x plus 1 minus 15x is equals to 0. Then we are going now to open the bracket first, and then we shall have 2x cubed plus x squared minus 15x is equals to 0. So if you can look at whatever we have here, we are having a cubic function. Now to deal with this cubic function, we are going to factor out x so that we can have 2x squared minus x, right, minus 15 is equals to 0. Now you can see we are having a scenario whereby we are having x is equal, x times something is equals to 0, or this part times x is equals to 0. So we can be able to say it's either x equals to 0 or 2x squared minus x minus 15 is equals to 0. So one of the solution to this function f of x here is x is equals to 0. Then to get the other solution, because a cubic function must have 3 solutions, right? Should have 3 solutions. Then we are going to have the 2 solutions from the quadratic equation that we are having at this critical point, right? So we are going to have 2x squared minus x minus 15. Now this is equated to 0. So if we are going to work out this, we can now decide to use factorization, or we can be able to use a quadratic formula here. And of course, if we are going to factorize, we are going to have 2x minus 5, and this is going to be x plus 3 is equals to 0. This is going to factorize into this, right? So that we can now be at a situation whereby we can say 2x minus 5 is equals to 0, which is going to translate to 2x equals to 5 over 2, or x equals to minus 3. Now the next part, we are told now hence solve this. But if you can look at this keenly, you realize that here we were having x, but here we are having y raised to power 2 over 3. Here we were having x, here we are having negative 15 y raised to power 2 over 3. So you realize that from this equation that we are having here, somehow is related to that function at the top here. But it's only that x has been replaced with, we can now say x has been replaced with y equals to 2 over 3. So instead of having x in this equation, that x has been replaced with y raised to power 2 over 3. So you are using hence so, because now when you are working out part B, it means that you are using the previous section in order to work it out. But we have obtained, and you are given the condition at this time, that y must be greater than 0. So there's no way we are going to make use of this part. We cannot use this. So we are going to say, therefore, y raised to power 2 over 3 is equal to what? Is equals to 5 over 2. Now, from the laws of indices, you remember that if you are having this, we can be able to write it as y raised to power 2, then we say cube root, yes, which is equals to 5 over 2. So without wasting any time, we can now cube both sides and cube here, and that's going to transcend and translate to what? This is going to be transmuted to y squared is equals to 125 over 8. Then at this given juncture, we are going to find square root, and then we shall say now our y is equals to what? Let's just try to work a square root of 125 over 8. That's going to translate to, basically to translate to 5 over 4, 5 over 4, third 10. And you are told give your answer in exact simplified start form. So that is basically what we are going to stop at. So these are the kind of questions that you're going to do in year 12, unit 1, P1 Math 1, under the concept of quadratics, quadratic functions. The next question here, we are told that the curve C1 has the equation xy equals to 15 over 2 minus 5x, where x equals to 0, x not equals to 0. So this should not scare you in any way. This is a condition that makes this function to be valid, meaning that if x is 0 for this function will not exist. Because if you put x 0 here, it will be 0 times 0, 0 times y, everything will be that function will actually not exist. So this is a condition. Get ready to be having questions that looks like this with conditions stated. And where is this condition going to help you? Sometimes if you are going to solve the equation and you get the answer, one of the answer being x equals to 0, maybe when you are solving this question and you get one of the answer equals to 0, you are not going to take that, because already you are told the condition up here, x can never be equal. Right, let's go down. The curve C2 has the equation y equals to x cubed minus 7 over 2x minus 5. Show that C1 and C2 meet when. Now, we are trying to see these curves meet when we have this equation. Now, something that you need to remember, O level, we learned about simultaneous equations. And when you are finding solution where the curves meet, if you are saying that you have a curve and maybe you have a curve like this, and you have another curve going that way, where they are meeting is the solution, right? So it means that for you to get these solutions where they are meeting, you are going to equate the two equations, right? So for us to equate these two equations, we can use substitution, meaning that whenever we have y in the first equation, we can now replace that with x squared minus 7 over 2x minus 5. So that translates to x into brackets y, but y we're going to replace with this guy here. That is x cubed minus 7 over 2 x minus 5, right? Minus 5 is equals to 15 over 2 minus 5x. 15 over 2 minus 5x. Now, if we open the bracket, we're going to have x power 4 minus 7 over 2 x squared minus 5x is equals to 15 over 2 minus 5x. And if you look at the equation that we are trying to arrive at, because at the end of the day, we are trying to rearrange this equation so that we can be able to see what it looks like this. So we can see there's no fraction. We can multiply all 2 by 2. In every term, if you multiply by 2, what are you going to get? We are going to get nothing other than 2x power 4 minus 7 x squared minus 10, of course this is x, to look like x, is equals to 15 minus 10x. Now, if we rearrange this, you can see we are going to take 10 on this other side, 15 should go on this other side. So we're going to end up having 2x power 4 minus 7x squared minus 15 minus 10x, but this one now once it comes here, it becomes plus 10 is equals to 0. Other it becomes plus 10x is equals to 0, whereby these two terms are going to cancel out. And at the end of the day, now you can see if we rearrange these equations that we were having, at the end of the day, what are we going to remain with? We are going to remain with 2x power 4 minus 7x squared minus 15 is equal to 0. That's exactly what you are supposed to remain with. And we have just shown that indeed they meet when the curve is at, because we have arrived at the same curve that they had given us. Given that C1, C2 meet at the point P and Q, find using algebra the exact distance. So first we need to know the coordinates of the point P and Q where they are going to do what? They're going to meet. So how do we get that point? We get that point by solving this equation that we have. And you see this is a quadratic equation, but a equation that has the highest power 4 is called a quadratic equation. And I believe you have not actually done questions like this, but I need to take you through to show you that indeed this is a quadratic equation. We can be able to convert this to a quadratic equation by saying let m be equal to x raised to power 2. Now, if we let that m equals to x power 2, we are going to rewrite this equation in terms of m, because if you can write this, it can be written as 2 squared then power 2 minus 7x squared minus 15 is equal to 0, which means that since we have said that our x squared to be represented by m, our new equation therefore will be 2m, this is m, but this now squared, minus 7x, no, 7m minus 15 is equals to 0, right? So we can now try to solve for m, and you can see now this is a quadratic equation, which we can be able to either use factorization or use a quadratic formula. So for simplicity in this case, let's use a quadratic formula. We say m is equals to negative b, but our b is negative, so that becomes 7 plus or minus square root of 7 squared, negative 7 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 15, so that becomes positive, and then we shall divide by 2 times a, which is 2 in that case. So as we proceed, we can see now our m is going to translate to 7 plus or minus square root of 49 plus, because we have 2 minus negative here, this is 8. 8 times 15 will translate to 120. 120 plus 49 will translate to 169 over 4, and this becomes 7 plus or minus square root of 169, and you need to remember the square root of 169 is 13, so it will be 7 plus or minus 13 over 4. Because we were finding the distance between P and Q, it means we need a little bit bigger space. We have quite some steps to do in this question, having 5 marks, so it means much is required. So the first value of m basically is 5, because 7 plus 13 is 20, divided by 4 is going to be 5, or m is equals to m is going to be negative 3 over 2. But if you look at the equation where they say let m be equal to x squared, and if we are saying that m be x squared and we're getting m to be negative, there is no way you can be able to square a number and you get a negative answer. So this cannot be taken as a solution. So we are going to say our m is going to do what? Is going to be 5. Okay. Is going to be 5. So we are going to say therefore x squared equals to 5. Then we can now find square root in this case, and we are going to say therefore our x is equals to plus or minus square root of 5. X is equals to root 5, or x is equals to negative root 5. So we have actually two solutions in this case, because of course they are going to meet at 2 points. We are going to assign one value to be for that, whereby we shall say is negative 5. We look for the second coordinate, and the other part is root 5. We'll look for the other coordinate. Now to find the other coordinates, we can now substitute the value of x in maybe in this equation, so that we can be able to find what our y coordinate for those points are. Okay, so a little bit adjust this so that we can be able now to go to the next step. So I'll be very glad if you tell me, you leave a comment down below, whether quadratics that we were doing in IGCSE O level are the same quadratics we are continuing with in pure math. How do you find life here? How do you find life here? But something that I need to tell you is that A level math, pure math is not really, it's not that it's hard, but it requires a little bit more, a little bit of a commitment. You need to be more committed to your work. You need to work independently. You need to spend extra time in the process of preparing for your A-level exams. You don't have to wait for your teacher. You don't have to wait for your tutor in order to sit down and do the work. A-level, you have to do the work. So if we substitute this into the calculator, and you have to be very, very keen the way you are substituting it, don't make any mistake in terms of the algebra, in terms of the substitution. So we are having root 5 if you work it out, because if you look at this question, you need the exact distance. So we are going to give our answers in exact form. So this is minus 10 plus 3 root 5 over 2. So when x is positive root 5, the y coordinate is minus 10. Let me write it properly. Minus 10 plus 3 root 5 over 2, right? And now we need to find when y is equals to, when x is equals to negative root 5. So also we need to find that, which is going to be into bracket negative root 5. We substitute here, minus 7 over 2 into minus 5, yeah, minus 5. So if you work out this, it will be a very beautiful answer as well. It will be negative 10 plus root 5. No, it has to have some 3 there. 3 root 5 divided by 2. So this coordinate here is negative 10 plus 3 root 5 over 2 as well. But the question was not asking us to find the coordinate just that. The question was expecting us to work out the distance PQ. And remember magnitude PQ, we are done. This section or level is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And if you work it out, if you put the coordinates the way they should, the magnitude PQ will be obtained from this. The first part is x, so it's root 5. So we can say minus 10 negative root 5. Then that part is going to be squared plus. We move to the other next area, which is negative 10 plus 3 root 5 over 2 minus negative 10 plus 3 root 5 over 2 squared. And if you work out this, you're going to get your answer as root 65. Root 65 is the answer in this case. In question number 3, we are told that the curve C has the equation y equals to f of x. Given that f of x is a quadratic expression, the maximum turning point of C has coordinates -2, 12. C cuts the negative x-axis at -5. Then we are supposed to find that function. I believe you remember when we were doing completing square, if you are having a into x plus b squared plus c, then you could use this completed square form of a quadratic equation to state that the turning point to this was stated as -b c. That was the turning point. You picked the opposite sign of this, and then you pick the y coordinate, the y coordinate of that turning point to that. So similarly, we can be able to write this equation using now the turning point. We can be able to write this equation as y is equals to a, because we don't know a is just a constant. We don't know the coefficient of x squared. We just call it a, and then we can now say x. But since this is a minus, it means inside here it was a positive 2, then squared, then we can now say plus 12. So we can sincerely say that f of x is going to take the form a into x plus 2 squared plus 12, right? Because the space is not enough, I can be able to move that a little bit so that we can be able to have enough playground whereby we can be able to continue dancing the music. Now, if we are to sketch this, we have been told that this graph has a turning point. The turning point is -2, -2, positive 12. We are having 12 there. And this graph is cutting the, of course, this is the turning point. So we can assume that we are told the x-axis negative in the graph cuts the x-axis at -5. Yeah. So this one we don't know where it is going to cut. Of course, this graph definitely has to cut on the other side of the positive part of the x-axis because of symmetry. So you see, from here to this point here, we are told, which mark is it? This point here, that is -5. So meaning there are 3 units to the left from the line of symmetry. Yeah, because we know the quadratic equations are symmetrical. If this is the maximum point, then a line that passes through the maximum point is going to subdivide this graph into 2 halves. So if this graph is from -2 to 5 is 3 units, and then from 2 to the other part of the graph should also be 2 units. Yes, rather from the line of symmetry, -2 to where the graph cuts the x-axis is 3 units. Also from this line of symmetry to this other point here must also be 3 units. From here to here is 3 units. This to this also must be 3 units. So it means definitely this has to be 1. Now, but we need to find f of x, so we need to know what a is. Because we were told that x-axis at -5, we know on the x-axis y is always equals to 0. Then we can now say 0 is equals to a into bracket -5. Now in the place of x we are replacing -5 so that we'll be in a position of finding what a is. Then -5 plus 2 squared plus 12. Then this is going to translate what? 0 is equals to a into bracket. This becomes -3, which is going to be squared plus 12. And definitely it is going to be 0 is equals to 9a plus 12. So 9a is going to be equal to -12. So divide by 9, divide by 9. And this commit suicide, our a is going to translate to -4/3. And that will mean f of x is equals to -4/3 into x plus 2 squared, then plus 12. Just to make the examiner happy, this is what you were supposed to have gotten. To make the examiner happy now, we can say our final answer is f of x is equals to 12 minus 4/3 into x plus 2 squared. And that's the answer we were supposed to arrive at in this particular question. And if you are new to ProfLearn YouTube channel, consider subscribing so that anytime we are going to upload further tutorials, you'll be notified. So something that I would like also to bring to your attention is that A-level math, you realize that questions will, in final exams, question will never be tested solely testing one concept. You will find questions set, and they are also including other topics. So like for instance, the next question we're going to do here is a question that deals with quadratics. Yes, it's also dealing with inequalities. It's dealing with finding equations, satisfying the inequality, and at the same time we are also being tested on how to find the equation of a straight line. So that's why I'm saying that the best way to revise for A-level math is going through past paper questions, and in that way you will be able to see how strange questions can look, but with more practice, with more resilience, with more determination, you will be at a position whereby you are able to handle it. In this question, we are told that in part BS, because you see we are dealing with completing square quadratics, but now we are moving to equation of a straight line. The same question. Also, we are moving to linear inequalities, the equation involving the required region. So let's now turn to part B and see what is expected there. What were we supposed to do here? L1 has equation y equals to 4/5x, given that line L2 is perpendicular to L1. So something that we need to remember here, that when two lines are perpendicular, then M1 times M2 is equals to -1. When two lines are perpendicular, the product of their gradients is -1. So basically we can say this is 4/5 times the gradient of L2 should give us -1. And from here we can see now our M2 is going to translate to -5/4. -5/4. We are told that L2 passes through the point -5, 0. So what does that mean? That means that a equation of a straight line is usually y equals to mx plus c. That one is guaranteed. That one we know it. So we can now, because we have already gotten the gradient of L2, and we know where L2 passes, the coordinates, then we can be able to now find the value of C. And at that point, we can be able to say y is 0 from this coordinate. Our gradient is -5/4, and x in that case is 5, then plus C. So what does that translate to? That translates to 0 is equals to 25/4 plus C, which implies that our C is -25/4. So at this point, we have all the rights reserved to us to write the equation in the form that was expected. Y is equals to what? Y equals to mx, and our m is -5/4 x, then minus 25/4, right? So that is the equation that was required in this part. And if we can look at this question where m and c are a constant to be found, so we can now say our m is equals to -5/4 and c is equals to -25/4. So which implies that our equation for that is here. Now, having done that, having obtained the equation of L1, or already M1 or L1 was given, so we can write it y equals to, let me write it here so that we can be able to use it later, 4/5x. This was given as 4/5x. L2, we have gotten it, and our L2 is the equation y is equals to -5/4 x minus 25/4, and the quadratic equation was given as quadratic equation. We found it. We did a lot of work to find it. It's here, so we can write it here. The quadratic equation is y equals to 12 minus 4. Was it 4/3? Yes, 4/3 into x plus 2 squared. Now, these are the equations that we have, but we are told to define the region R using inequalities. This is not different from what we were doing O level, whereby you are given, I remember in this channel we did questions that were having region R like that. Then this was straight lines, and then we could be able to define region. It's the same concept. And we said when we were doing that, we said for you to work out such kind of question, you need to select a point in the required region. Yes. So for instance, I can decide here and select a point in the required region, and let me say, since -2 is one of the easiest way, I can say -2 is at this point is -2, y is 0. So we can be able to use this point in order to determine what the inequality, which inequality are we going to use in each of the questions. Now let's start for this one. We are going to say we have y dash 4/3x. So which inequality are we going to 4 over 5x. So which inequality are we going to use at this point? Are we going to say is greater than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 0? So to check what's the best inequality, we're going to use this point that we have selected there, and we're going to, where we have y, we shall put 0, and where we have x, we're going to put -2. So this is going to be 4 over 5 into -2. So if we substitute this, what does it give us? This is going to be 0 dash. If we work out that, that will be -8 over 5, right? Is 0 greater than -8 over 5 or less than -8 over 5? That's the question now you'll ask yourself. 0 is greater than -8 over 5. Now, since this line is continuous, it's not dotted, then we are going to say greater than or equal to. So the inequality that we need for this case is this one as the first inequality. We are going to do the same for the second equation, this one. We are going to, okay, now this one I'm done with it. Okay, no need, I can just leave it there. For the second one, I'll say y dash -5 over 4x minus 25 over 4. Similarly, y is 0 in this case because we are using the same point, y is 0 dash. I want to work out what is -5 over 4 into -2 minus 25 over 4. 25 over 4. I can put that in the calculator. -5 over 4 into -2 minus 25 over 4, and that becomes -15 over 4. So this is 0 dash -15 over 4. So basically this is also greater than or equal. So that is the second inequality we have, and this one. So we can say this is our second. The last one is for the quadratic. So which sign are we going to have? So we are going to say this is going to be y dash 12 minus 4 over 3 into x plus 2 squared. So when y is 0 dash, it will be 12 minus 4 over 3 into -2 plus 0 squared. This, so the all of this will, no, plus 2 squared. The all of this is going to run to 0, of course. Then this, the all of this term will be 0. And then you can see now the all of this term will go to 0, and then we shall have 0 dash 12. So we can say 12, 0 is less than or equal to 12. So meaning the inequality now in that case is going to be what? Inequality here. The inequality is going to be y is less than or equal to 12 minus 4 over 3 into x plus 2 squared. So this is also the third inequality. So those are the inequalities we were supposed to get in that question. Question number 4 here is testing on completing square part. So, and also you can be able to access this PDF in the description. You go and download it so that you can be able to attempt those questions as we are doing them, and then you can be able to confirm whether your answers are exactly what we are getting. So we are having this, we are having 3x squared plus 12x plus 13. Then I'm going to group these together because I want to arrive at this. So I'm going to group these together. Then I'll factor what's common here, and factoring that, I'll factor 3. I'll remain with x squared plus 4x. then plus 13. Now, remember when we were doing this, now we need to complete the square of what's inside this bracket. And this is going to be 3 into bracket x. You take x, then plus a half of this number, which becomes 2. Then you square that. But if you expand this, you are going to get an extra 4. If you expand this, you are going to get 2 squared. So we are going to subtract that 2 squared there. Then we say plus 13. You see this concept. Why are we subtracting this? If you expand this, we are going to say x plus 2, x plus 2. If you expand it, it will be x squared plus 4x, then plus 4. And you see now, in this case, we were having only x squared plus 4, but there is an extra that you will get, extra 4 you will get when you expand this. So to get rid of that, we are going to subtract the square of this number that is inside here. We're going to subtract the square of this number that is inside here. So that gives us the 4 that we have subtracted, so that we cancel this effect that we have here. Right, so if we open the bracket so that we can have it in the form that was expected, we're having 3 into x plus 2 squared. This squared is 4. 4 times 3 will be minus 12, then plus 13. Then this becomes 3 into x plus 2 squared minus 12. This is going to be plus 1, because minus 12 plus 13 becomes plus 1. And that's exactly how you're gonna leave it. How you're gonna leave it. Just leave at peace at that point. Right. Hence, sketch the curve of this equation. You see now, the reason as to why we are doing this is to enable us in order to use it in the next question. That's why they are using the term hence. From this previous question, we can be able to see the turning point of this graph. The turning point of this curve is going to be minus 2, 1. That's going to be a turning point, right? That's the turning point. And the y-intercept of this graph is going to be 13. You don't use the one that we are having here. Y-intercept is the original part. But if you want to find the y-intercept from this, you have to expand it first, and in order to get it. But in completed square form, it enables you to pick the turning point of that function. And this number 3 that you have here does not affect the x coordinate that you're gonna have. I hope that is clear. So, and the y-intercept is going to be positive 13. Now, sketch showing clearly y-intercept and the turning coordinates. So we have already taken care of that. Yeah. So let's carefully try to sketch that point. Now, trying to sketch this point, let me just locate where the turning point is. This is negative 2, and let's say 1 is somewhere here. And then we can say 13 is somewhere there. Yeah. So if we are saying that the turning point is at negative 2, 1, if the turning point is at that point, something that is very, very clear here is that this graph is opening upwards. That's why this is a positive coefficient. But if it was negative, it was to be opening down, right? So, and also you can see this is the minimum point. And this graph will move like that and cross the y-axis at 13 like that. So it's a parabola. This graph is a parabola opening up like that, whereby we have our turning point at this point and y-intercept at that point. This graph does not cross the x-axis. It means that this graph has no solution, and also it means that the discriminant of this graph is less than 0. If you work out discriminant, remember discriminant is gotten by the formula discriminant is equal to b squared minus 4ac. So b squared minus 4ac is going to be less than 0, and this means that this has no solution. We shall talk about discriminant later and how it becomes of a great importance for an A-level student. If you are new to ProfLearn YouTube channel and you are getting value from this particular video channel, consider subscribing so that anytime I'm going to do more tutorials on that, we shall be having P2, we shall be having P3 here, we shall be having P4 here, we shall be having further pure math 1 and further pure math 2, as in all the spectrum of maths, both IGCSE, Edexcel, Cambridge. You'll have a ton of reasons as to why you should subscribe so that the channel can grow, as I also keep on bringing more and fresh content to you. So take a moment to subscribe. Just click here. Just click on that subscribe button. All right. Question number 5. We are told express f of x in the form this. Basically, this is just like the question that we have done in this previous section. So maybe I would like you to just do it, work it out, and write your answer in the comment section. I check whether it's correct. Remember, when you are in ProfLearn, you have to make notes. You have to make notes. You cannot come to class and you don't make notes. Yeah, that's why I've placed this document in the description so that you can download it and you have it. You continue working it out. Math is about working out the problems, not appreciating the good work I'm doing. Right, so let's move to this question. So we are having f of x, interesting, minus 2x squared. I've done nothing. I've just rearranged the equation so that I can be happy. Now I'm happy. Now, if we are having f of x like that, we can be able to factor out negative 2 and then have x squared plus 2 2x plus 11. Now I can be able to complete the square of this, and I'll say that f of x can be written as negative 2 x, we just pick one x, here we pick a half of 2, which is 1, we square that. Then we have to subtract the square of this number that is here, and I gave a reason as to why we have to do that. Then we shall have 11. This is going to translate to negative 2. Okay, negative 2. Let me just at one go open the bracket. So negative 1 squared. Always the number you are squaring is this number. You are not squaring negative 1. You are squaring this number that is here. So you will subtract the square of that number. So don't make a mistake and say negative 1 squared is positive 1. No. So we are going to say subtract. This 1 squared is 1. Negative 1 times negative 2 becomes positive 2, then plus 11 at that point. Therefore, we can conclude and say our f of x translate to f of x translates from -2 into x plus 1 squared plus 13. But you see, the way it was given here, I need to rearrange it, and I say f of x equals to 13. I start with this number, then minus 2 into x plus 1 squared. All right, so somebody will tell me here is a positive. Why are we having a negative here? It means b was a negative number, so don't worry about that. It means the value of b is a negative number, and you are told a and b are c constant to be found. If you are told are constant to be found, you will come down here and list them. Our a is 13, our b is -2, our c is 1. That's what the final answer will look like, because you are told are constants to be found. So we have to list our final answers like that. In the event this was minus b, then your answer will have been b equals to 2. If this form was given a minus b into x plus c squared, you see now already the negative sign has been taken account. So therefore, if it was in this case, our answer will have been written as a is equals to 13, b is equals to 2, and c is equal to 1. Is that clear? Right. Sketch the graph C. And the graph of C, of course, C is y is equals to 13 minus 2 into x plus 1 squared. Now, let's look here. What's the turning point? Turning point of this graph. What's the turning point of this graph? Yes, you, I'm asking you. You, yes, you. Don't look behind. You. You can't just come to class and you don't want to respond to me. Write in the comment section down there. What's the turning point for this? The turning point of this. Yes, correct. Turning point is -1, 13. Bless you. And what is the y-intercept? Yes, that guy at the back. What's the y-intercept? Yes, y-intercept. Where do we get it? Yes, that's correct. We're going to get it from the original equation. The y-intercept is 11. Yeah, so can we be able to sketch the graph? Why not? So once you have the y-intercept, you have the turning point. Turning point is -1, 13. 13, we can say 13, 11 is here. And let me say, let's have 13 here, and then we shall have 11 somewhere here. Yeah, so, and you see the coefficient of x squared is a negative, so this graph is going to open down, and you can see even without knowing that, you'll have your turning point. There is no way this graph will open up if the y-intercept at this point. So this graph has to open down that way. And you can see now the question is clearly telling you sketch the graph showing clearly coordinates of the point where the curve crosses the y-axis. So the coordinate is going to be 0, 11, where it crosses the y-axis. Where it crosses the y-axis. This is the point. and that point is 0, and the turning point is -1, 13. Yeah, of course, when you are doing this question, don't forget to write this is the y axis and this is the x axis, all true all along. Don't always remember to indicate that. The question does not require us to really write where the graph crosses the x-axis, so we don't need to go and worry ourselves with that. Write down the equation of line of symmetry. Line of symmetry, remember, I mentioned from the previous section that quadratic graphs are symmetrical. If we draw a line that passes through the turning point like that, this line subdivides this graph into two halves. It subdivides the curve into two halves. See our curve here. It has been subdivided into two halves, and this line now that passes through that point is called the line of symmetry. So this line of symmetry can be written as x is equals to -1. X is equals to -1. So the line of symmetry for this one here is this line that passes through the point, which is going to be line of symmetry is x is equals to x equals to -2. Yeah. So if you are asked line of symmetry, that's exactly what you are to write. Line of symmetry. Line of symmetry. All right, so if you got value from this video, consider subscribing so that anytime I'm going to upload the next tutorial, you'll be notified. See you in the next topic. So you can also get this, you can also get the marking scheme of this document in our Patreon page. Make sure you are remembered there so that some videos which are not uploaded there here, you can also get this information. See you in the next.